Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Dog Waters, and I'm back. Listen to this. I'm coming to y'all with a segment of the book of Enoch and the book of Noah. The reason why I want you to listen to this is because the last conversation Vault and I had, I kind of touched on, the three lanes from which cryptids come from. And I think it's important that I elaborate on it a little bit more, kind of point people in the right direction who haven't had an opportunity to actually read the documentation that I'm talking about. For those of you who listened, or for those of you who didn't listen, I told you guys there's been this debate in the cryptid community as to where cryptids come from. And I told you guys, whether it be Dogman, whether it be Bigfoot, there's three different lanes that these things function in. One is a pure spiritual lane where we're dealing with a demonic entity manifesting itself in the shape or form of a cryptid. The other one is old world, pre-flood entities, physical entities, flesh and blood entities, and then new world, genetically modified entities. Just to touch on the spiritual aspect again, if you go and look at the demons of the Goetia, which I think is 72 demons, I'm not sure because I don't really study it. But if you go look at the photos of those demons, a lot of them look like what you would consider to be a cryptid. Go back and look at the photos for those of you who are into the dark magic, bada bing, bada boom, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They actually look like cryptids. Half spider, half human, owl men riding on goats, unicorns, all kind of crazy stuff is what they're depicted as. Is what they're depicted as, because at the end of the day, they are the spirits of those hybrid beings that were created back in the day. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What I think is very important moving forward is that you're armed with the right information. And so I'm going to play a segment of this book. Here you will hear them not only refer to other scriptures, Genesis, Revelations, bada bing, bada boom, for you to go back and review, but it ties everything into a complete knot for those of you who've read the Bible and trying to figure out, well, how do you guys make a leap from Genesis 6, where it just says, the fallen angels fell and begot giants, to the rest of the stuff that's out there? It's because you need to go into the other books of the Bible, which really, really explain a lot of this. So I wanted you guys to hear it now. This actual text is for download. You can download this text at my website, IamDogWaters.com. On the front page, you'll just see an image that says Noah. Click it. You can download it, or you can read it there. It doesn't matter to me. But it's out there for you to take a listen to, because it's important as we move into this time period that we're facing right now, where we're seeing genetic modification on levels. Well, it's being revealed. Genetic modification is being revealed on levels that you guys probably have never ever seen before, never even fathomed that you understand this. For example, hold on. Let me pull up something and show it to you. Sorry, guys, I'm laying across the bed, so I'm going to sound like I'm crazy, but watch this. Today, an article came out from a gentleman who is gone. Anyway, there was an article that came out today from a scientist who he was revealing that due to genetic modification, that human beings would actually shrink and become smaller. Genetically modified humans would shrink and become smaller because they would no longer have a gut tolerance for meat. So therefore, they would not be able to grow tall and bigger and stronger. It's something that I pointed to in an article before. I think I'm going to pause this video and go find it, because it's really, really important to tie things in. Because it's something I showed you guys in one of the previous videos. Then a guy comes out and just starts talking about it. Yeah, this is what we're going to do to humans. And it's crazy. So I'm going to pause this and go find it. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. I found it. I'm going to insert the audio right here. Listen to what this dude is saying. Now, this guy's a genetic scientist directly associated with the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is directly associated to Davos. Davos, for those who actually went and started researching the people in the story that I've been telling you guys about with Operation Black Sun, you will find a hell of a lot of those names from that story are attendees to the Davos group meetings. So, I probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah. But anyway, fuck it. You find it. You go research it. Don't expect everybody to give you the truth, but I'm going to give this to you. Take a listen.
So I'll give two examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, "Wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it." I'm one of those, by the way. So but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about. So we have these intolerance to for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering. Another
Again, guys, I need you to stick with me here and keep listening. Don't zone out on me. Don't be like, what the hell is he talking about? Stick with me. Listen to what this dude is saying. And remember, your whole life right now is being dictated by a bunch of scientists. They tell you when you can go, where you can go, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. This is the future of what's coming. And this is the same thing that happened in the past. Stick with me.
possibly address really big world problems through human engineering. Another example is,
you go first.
yeah, and another example is sort of, and here I'll go first, right? You'll see that I'm the smallest person here, right? And Amy's the smallest person. So it turns out that the larger you are, think of the lifetime sort of greenhouse gas emissions that are required to sort of the energy that's required to transport larger people rather than smaller people, right? But if we're smaller just by 15 centimeters, right? That's a mass, I did the math, and it's about mass reduction of 25%, which is huge. And 100 years ago, we're all on the average smaller, exactly about 15 centimeters smaller. Right? So think of just the, like lifetime greenhouse gas emissions if we had smaller children, right? And so that's something that we could do through some sort of human.
Could we, like setting.
Now, I'm not sure if you heard what he said at the end, but the last word he said was that something that we can do, we can sort of do through genetic engineering, before the broad cut him off because she didn't want him to say that publicly. So, you have people right now looking at genetically modifying human beings to make them smaller, to stop the greenhouse effect, or to save the fucking planet, which has been around for millions of years. But hey, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Anyway, the point I'm making to you guys is this: we are reliving the same foolishness that happened before, except for this time it's scientists who decided they're going to play God and they're going to dictate our lives. How does that tie into what I was telling you earlier? Understand that these people are already talking about genetically modifying human beings to make them smaller. They've already done everything else that we're discussing. That's why I said in one of my videos or one of my posts, man, the paranormal will cease to exist soon. This whole genre will be normal. There will no longer be any like paranormal genre where we talk about ghosts and monsters and cryptids in the future. All this shit gonna be wide out in the open, and you're gonna be living it. You're gonna be seeing it every day. I may not be around. Come back and listen to this. You can be like, damn, that dude was right, because you can see the writing on the wall. All you have to do is pay attention and don't allow yourself to be brainwashed. Pay attention, listen to what's being said, listen objectively, and consider all of them liars, and make them prove themselves to you through your research. Period. If the news tells you something, well, COVID cases went up, blah, 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 you're lying. Let me go look for myself. And that's how you get to the truth. But listen, we're going to go into this the book of Noah and the book of Enoch.
The fall of the rebellious angels, the demoralization of mankind, the intercession of the holy angels. On behalf of mankind and the dooms pronounced by God on the fallen angels of the Messianic kingdom, including a fragment of the book of Noah. Chapter 6, verses 1 to 8, It came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, in those days beautiful and comely daughters were born to them. Genesis 6 to 1 and 2. The angels, the sons of heaven, saw and lusted after them and said to one another, Come, let us choose women from among the men and beget children. Genesis 6 to 4. Samjaza their leader said to the angels, I fear you will indeed agree to this deed, and I alone will have to pay the penalty of a great sin. The angels all answered, Let us swear an oath and all bind ourselves by mutual spoken curses not to abandon this plan but to do this thing. Then they swore all together and bound themselves by mutual spoken curses upon the sin. They were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared, Enoch's father, Genesis 5:18, on the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn the oath and bound themselves by mutual spoken curses on the summit. These are the names of their leaders: Samiazat's their leader, Arekiba, Ramiel, Kokabeel, Tamiel, Ramiel, Danel, Eskiel, Barakijl, Asal, Amaros, Butel, Ananel, Zakiel, Samsapil, Sital, Tural, Jomjail, Sarel. These are the chiefs of tens. Chapter 7, verses 1 to 6. All the other angels took to themselves women, and each chose for himself a woman, and they began to go into them and to defile themselves with them. They taught the women charms and enchantments, the cutting, grafting, of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. The women became pregnant and bore great giants whose height was 3,000 ells, about 3.5 meters or over 10 feet tall. The giants consumed all the acquisitions of mankind, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them. The giants devoured mankind, and they began to sin against birds, beasts, reptiles and fish. They began to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against their lawless ones. Chapter 8, verses 1 to 3. Azazel taught the men how to make swords, knives, shields and breastplates. He made known to men the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and made bracelets, ornaments and the use of antimony, a brittle silvery metal used in alloys, the beautifying of eyelids, all kinds of precious stones and coloring tinctures. There arose much godlessness, and the angels committed fornication. Men were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Samjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings. Amaros taught resolving enchantments. Barakijl taught astrology. Kokabel taught the constellations. Eskiel taught the knowledge of the clouds. Arekiel taught the signs of the earth. Shamsel taught the signs of the sun, and Sarel the course of the moon. As men perished they cried, and their cries went up to heaven. Chapter 9, verses 1 to 11. Then Michael, Uriel, Raphael and Gabriel, holy angels, looked down from heaven, and saw much blood being shed on the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought on the earth. They said to one another, The earth made without inhabitant now cries the voice of their crying up to the gates of heaven. Now to you, holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, Bring our cause before the Most High. They said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, Revelation 19:16. And God of the ages, the throne of your glory stands for all generations of the ages, and your name holy and glorious and blessed to all the ages. You have made all things and have power over all things, and all things are naked and open in your sight, and you see all things. Mark 4:22. Nothing can hide itself from you. You see what Azazel has done, who has taught all the unrighteousness on earth and revealed the eternal secrets, which were preserved in heaven. Secrets men were striving to learn. Samjaza, to whom you gave authority to rule over his associates. They have gone to the daughters of men on the earth and have defiled the women, and have defiled themselves and revealed to men all kinds of sins. the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. Now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds that are wrought on the earth. You know all things before they come to pass, and you see all things, and you stay silent regarding them. You do not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these sins. Chapter 10, verses 1 to 22. Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One spoke and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech. Go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide yourself. Reveal to him the end is approaching. The whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth and will destroy all that is on it, and instruct him how he may escape and how his seed may be preserved for all generations of the world. The Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness. Make an opening in the desert in Dudale and cast him in there. Place on him rough and jagged rocks and cover him with darkness. Let him abide down there forever and cover his face so he may not see light. 2 Peter 2-4. Jude 1-6. On the day of the great judgment he will be cast into the fire. Revelation 20:10. Heal the earth, which the fallen angels have corrupted, and proclaim healing of the earth, so they may heal the plague, so all the children of men may not perish because of all the secret things the watchers, rebellious angels, have disclosed and have taught their evil sons. The whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel, and to him ascribe all sin. To Gabriel the Lord said, proceed against the bastards and their reprobates, against the children born of fornication, and destroy the children born of fornication, the children of the watchers from amongst men. Cause them to go forth. Send them one against the other, so they may destroy each other in battle. For length of days they will not have no request they or their fathers make of you will be granted to their fathers on their behalf, for they hope to live an eternal life, and that each one will live on earth 500 years. The Lord said to Michael, go bind Semjazer and his associates who have united themselves with women and have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. When their sons have slain one another and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment and of their consummation, till the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they will be led off to the abyss of fire, to the torment and the prison in which they will be confined forever. 2 Peter 2-4, Jude 1-6. Whoever will be condemned and destroyed will from then on be bound together with them to the end of all generations. Revelation 20:15. Destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end. Let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it will prove a blessing. Revelation 2-7, 22-2 and 14. There works of righteousness and truth will be planted in truth and joy forever. Then will all the righteous escape, and will live until they beget thousands of offspring, and all the days of their youth and their old age will they complete in peace. Then the whole earth will be tilled in righteousness, and will all be planted with trees and be full of blessing. All desirable trees will be planted on the earth, and they will plant vines. The vines will yield fruit in abundance. All the seed that is sown, each measure of it will bear 1,000, and each measure of olives will yield 10 presses of oil. Cleanse the earth from all oppression, from all unrighteousness, from all sin and from all ungodliness. Destroy all the uncleanness that is wrought on the earth. Let the children of men become righteous. All nations will offer adoration, will praise me, and all will worship me. The earth will be cleansed from all defilement, from all sin, from all punishment, from all torment, and I will never again send these things on the earth from generation to generation and forever. Revelation chapters 21 and 22. Chapter 11, verses 1 and 2. In those days I will open the store chambers of blessing which are in heaven to send them down on the earth over the work and labor of the children of men. Truth and peace will be associated together throughout all the days of the world and throughout the generations of men. The visions and dreams of Enoch, his intercession for the fallen angel Azazel and the other fallen angels, and God's announcement of their initial then their final doom. Chapter 12, verses 1 to 6. Before these things happened, Enoch was hidden and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden, where he abode or what had become of him. Genesis 5:24. All his activities had to do with the watchers and his days were with the holy angels. I, Enoch, was blessing there. Lord of majesty and the King of the ages, and lo, the watchers called me, Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, you scribe of righteousness, go and declare to the watchers of the heaven who have left their high heaven, the eternal holy place and have defiled themselves with women and have done as the children of the earth do and have taken to themselves women. Genesis 6:1-4. Say to them, you have wrought great destruction on the earth and you will have no peace or forgiveness of sin. 2 Peter 2-4, Jude 1-6. And as much as they delight themselves in their children, the murder of their loved ones they will see. They will lament over the destruction of their children and will make supplication to eternity, but mercy and peace you will not attain. Chapter 13, verses 1-10. Enoch went to Azazel and said, Azazel, you will have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against you to put you in bonds. You will not have toleration nor request granted to you because of the unrighteousness which you have taught and because of all the works of godlessness, sin, and unrighteousness you have shown to men. Then I went and spoke to them all, fallen angels, together. And they were all afraid, so fear and trembling seized them. They besought me to draw up a petition for them, so they might find forgiveness and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven, for from then on they could not speak with him nor lift up their eyes to heaven for shame of their sins for which they had been condemned. I wrote out their petition, the prayer in regard to their spirits, their deeds individually, and in regard to their requests so they should have forgiveness and length of life. I went off and sat down at their waters of Merom in the land of Ulsh, Dan, to the southwest of the mountain, Hermon. I read their petition until I fell asleep. Behold, a dream came to me and visions fell down on me. I saw visions of chastisement. And a voice came, bidding me to tell it to the sons of heaven, fallen angels, and to reprimand them. When I awakened I came to them and they were all sitting, weeping with their faces covered, gathered together in Abel's jail, which is in between Ugarit, Lebanon, and Senezer, Sidon. I recounted before them all the visions I had in sleep and I began to speak the words of righteousness and to reprimand the heavenly watchers. Chapter 14, verses 1-25, the book of the words of righteousness and of the reprimand of the eternal watchers, in accordance with the commanded of the Holy Great One in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now say with the tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to men to converse with and understand with the heart. Proverbs 4-5. As he has created and given to man the power of understanding and the word of wisdom, Psalm 49-3, so has he created me and given me the power to reprimand the watchers, the children of heaven, fallen angels, 1 Corinthians 6-3. I said to the watchers, I wrote out your petition and in my vision it appeared thus, your petition will not be granted to you throughout all the days of eternity and the judgment has finally been passed on you. Yea, your petition will not be granted to you and from now on you will not ascend into heaven through all eternity and in bonds of the earth. The decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. You have seen the destruction of your beloved sons and you will have no pleasure in them but they will fall before you by the sword. Your petition on their behalf will not be granted nor yet on your own behalf even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writing which I have written. The vision was shown to me thus, Behold, in their vision, clouds invited me and a mist summoned me. The course of the stars and the lightnings sped and hastened me. The winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. 2 Corinthians 12:2-4. I went in until I drew near to a wall built of crystals, Revelation 4-6, and surrounded by tongues of fire, Acts 2-3, and it frightened me. I went into the tongues of fire and drew near to a large house. John 14:2, built of crystals. The walls of the house were like a tiled floor made of crystals. Its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and in between them were fiery cherubim, Ezekiel 10:6, and their heaven was as clear as water, Revelation 22:1. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, Zechariah 2:5, and its portals, vast, gaping open spaces like windows with nothing to close them, blazed with fire, Nehemiah 1-3. I entered that house and it was as hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life in there. Fear covered me and trembling took hold of me. As I quaked and trembled I fell on my face. Matthew 17:6. I beheld a vision and lo, there was a second, greater house than the former and their entire window stood open before me and it was built of flames of fire. In every respect it so excelled in splendor, magnificence and extent. I cannot describe to you its splendor and extent. Its floor was made of fire and above it were lightnings, Revelation 4-5. The path of the stars and its ceiling was flaming fire. I looked and saw in there a lofty throne, its appearance was as crystal and the wheels of the throne were as the shining sun and there was the vision of the cherubim, Revelation 4-6. From underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire so bright I could not look on there. The great glory sat on the throne and his raiment shone more brightly than the sun and was whiter than any snow. Daniel 7-9. None of the angels could enter and behold his face by reason of the magnificence and the glory, and no flesh could behold him. Exodus 33:20. The flaming fire was round about him. A great fire stood before him and none could draw near him. 10,000 times 10,000, Revelation 5:11, stood before him yet he needed no counselor. There most holy ones who were near to him did not leave by night nor depart from him, Revelation 4-8. Until then I had been prostrate on my face, trembling. The Lord called me with his own mouth and said, Come here, Enoch, hear my word. One of the holy ones came to me and woke me and he made me rise up and approach the door and I bowed myself face downwards. Daniel 10:11. Chapter 15, verses 1-12. The Lord spoke to me and I heard his voice, Fear not Enoch, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Daniel 10:19, approach here and hear my voice. Go and say to the watchers of heaven, fallen angels, who sent you to intercede for them, you should intercede for men and not men for you. You have left the high, holy and eternal heaven and lain with women. You defiled yourselves with the daughters of men and have taken to yourselves women and done like the children of earth, and produced giant Nephilim as your sons. Though you were holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women and have produced children with the blood of flesh, and as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, those also who do perish. Therefore, I had given their men wives so they might have children by them so nothing might be wanting to them on earth, but you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life and immortal for all the generations of the world. I have not appointed wives for you, for as the spiritual ones of the heavens, heaven is their dwelling. Now the giant Nephilim who are produced from the angel spirits and the flesh will be called evil spirits on the earth and on the earth will be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men and from the holy watchers, their beginning and primal origin, They will be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits they will be called. The spirits of heaven, in heaven their dwelling will be, evil principalities and powers, Ephesians 6:12. But the spirits of the earth, born on the earth will be their dwelling. The spirits of the Nephilim afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle and work destruction on the earth and cause trouble. They take no food but always hunger and thirst and cause offenses. These spirits will rise up against their children of men and against the women because they have proceeded from them. Genesis 3:15. Chapter 16, verses 1 to 4. From the days of the slaughter, destruction and death of the Nephilim, from their souls of whose flesh the spirits having gone forth, will destroy without incurring judgment. Thus they will destroy until the day of the consummation, the great judgment in which the age will be consummated over the watchers and the godless. Yea, they will be wholly consummated. And now as to the watchers who have sent you, Enoch, to intercede for them, the watchers who had been aforetime in heaven, say to them, you have been in heaven but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you had sex with worthless ones, and these mysteries, in the hardness of your hearts, you have made known to the women, and through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on the earth. Say to them therefore, you have no peace. Isaiah 48 hours 22 minutes, 57 hours 21 minutes. Enoch's first supernatural journey through the earth and Sheol. Chapter 17, verses 1 to 8. They, the holy angels, brought me, Enoch, to a place where those who were there were like flaming fire, and when they desired to, they appeared as men. Angels, both holy and fallen, can appear as men. They brought me to the place of darkness and to a mountain, the peak of whose summit reached heaven. I saw the places of the sun, moon and the treasuries of the stars and of thunder. And in the uttermost depths were a fiery bow, arrows in their quiver, a fiery sword and all the lightnings. They took me to the living waters and to the fire in the west that receives every setting of the sun. I came to a river of fire, lava, from where the fire flows like water and discharges itself into the great sea towards their west. I saw the great rivers. I came to the great river and to the great darkness, and went to the place where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter and the place where all the waters of the deep flow, underground water table. I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth and the mouth of the deep sea. Chapter 18, verses 1 to 16. I, Enoch, saw the treasuries of all the winds. I saw how God had furnished with them the whole of creation and the firm foundations of the earth. I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds that bear the earth and the firmament of the first heaven, air, sky and clouds. I saw how the winds stretch out the vaults of heaven and have their station, orbit, between heaven and earth. These are the pillars of the first heaven. I saw the winds of the second heaven, which turn and bring their circumference of the sun and all the stars into their setting. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the holy angels. Genesis 28 hours 12 minutes. I saw at the end of the earth, the horizon, the firmament of the heaven above. I proceeded and saw a place that burns day and night. Deuteronomy 32 hours 22 minutes, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones. Revelation 21:18 to 21. 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. The 3 towards the east, one was of colored stone, opal, one of pearl and one of jacinth, zircon. Those 3 towards the south were of red stone, ruby. The middle mountain reached to heaven like the throne of God, made of alabaster, Matthew 26:7, and the summit of the throne was of sapphire. I saw a flaming fire, Daniel 7:9. Beyond these mountains is a region that is the end of the great earth, and there the heavens were completed. I saw a deep abyss, Luke 8:31, with columns of heavenly fire. And among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure, like towards the height and towards the depth. Beyond the abyss I saw a place that had no firmament of the heavens above and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water on it and no birds, but it was a waste and a horrible place. Revelation 9:2. I saw 7 stars like great burning mountains. When I inquired regarding them, the holy angel said to me, "This place is the end of heaven and earth, outer darkness." Matthew 8:12, 22:13, 25 hours 30 minutes. This place has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven, fallen angels, evil principalities and powers, demons, etc. The stars that roll over the fire are they that have transgressed the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times. God was furious with them and bound them until the time when their guilt should be consummated, for 10,000 years. 2 Peter 2-4, Jude 6. Chapter 19, verses 1-3, Earl said to me, "Here will stand the fallen angels that have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind and will lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here they will stand until the day of the great judgment, when they will be judged, until they are made an end of. The female offspring of the angels that went astray will become sirens, enticing prostitution, homosexuality, lesbianism and other sexual perversions. I, Enoch, alone, saw the vision, the end of all things, and no man will see the things I have seen." Chapter 20, verses 1-8, These are the names of the holy angels who watch over mankind. Uriel, one of the holy angels who watches over the world and over the abyss. Raphael, one of the holy angels, watches over the spirits of mankind. Rigel, one of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world of the sun, moon and stars. Michael, one of the holy angels, to wit, he watches over the best part of mankind, their Jewish people and Israel. Daniel 10:13 and 21, 12-1, Jude 1-9, and over world chaos. Revelation 12-7. Sarachael, one of the holy angels, watches over the evil spirits that sin in the spirit. Gabriel, one of the holy angels, watches over paradise. Daniel 8:16, 9:21, Luke 1:19 and 26. The cherubim and the serpents, evil spirits. Ramiel, one of the holy angels whom God set over those who rise, stand up for righteousness. Enoch's second supernatural journey through the earth. He sees the initial then the final place of doom and punishment for the fallen angels, called stars of heaven. Chapter 21, verses 1-10. I proceeded to where things were chaotic, and I saw there something horrible. I saw neither a holy heaven above nor a firmly founded earth, but a place chaotic and horrible. I saw there 7 stars of heaven, huge fallen angels, bound together in it like great mountains and burning fire. I asked, for what sin are they bound, and on what account have they been cast here? Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me and was chief over them, said, Enoch, why do you ask, and why are you eager for the truth? These are the number of the stars of heaven that have transgressed the commandment of their Lord and are bound here until 10,000 years, the time entailed by their sins, meaning the length of time they were involved with their wickedness, are consummated. 2 Peter 2-4, Jude 6. From there I went to another place, still more horrible than the former, and I saw a horrible thing. A great fire that burned and blazed, and the place was a cleft as far as the abyss, being full of great descending columns of fire. Its extent or magnitude I could not see, nor could I conjecture. Note, fire and flame always fly upwards. Job 5:7, so there descending columns of fire were against God's divine rule of nature, causing chaos. I said, how fearful is the place, and how terrible to see. Uriel asked, Enoch, why have you such fear and affright? I answered, because of this fearful place and because of the spectacle of the pain. Uriel said, this place is the prison of the fallen angels, and here they will be imprisoned forever. Revelation 20:10 and 14. Enoch describes the terrifying underworld of doom, called Sheol, Hell and Hades. Chapter 22, verses 1 to 14. From there I went to another place, to the mountain of hard rock. There were in it 4 hollow places, deep and wide and very smooth. How smooth are the hollow places, deep and dark too. Look at. Raphael, one of the holy angels who was with me, said to me, these hollow places have been created for this very purpose. For the spirits of the souls of the dead, of mankind, should assemble there. Yea, for all the souls of the children of men should assemble here. These places have been created to receive them until the day of their judgment and until their appointed time when the great judgment comes on them. Then they are sent to the lake of fire. Daniel 12:2, John 5:29, Revelation 20:15. I saw the spirit of a dead man making suit, and his voice went forth to heaven and made suit. I asked Raphael there, angel who was with me, this spirit which is making suit, whose is it? Whose voice goes forth making suit to heaven? Raphael answered me saying, this is the spirit from Abel whom his brother Cain slew, and he makes suit against him until Cain's seed is destroyed from the face of the earth and his seed is annihilated from amongst mankind. Genesis 4:10, Hebrews 11:4. I asked regarding all the hollow places, why is one separated from the other? The angel answered me, these 3 hollows have been created so the spirits of the dead might kept separate. One division has been made for the spirits of the righteous, in which there is the bright spring of living water, John 4:10. The second division has been made for sinners when they die and are buried in the earth, and judgment has not been executed on them in their lifetime. Here the spirits will be set apart from the righteous in this great pain until the great day of judgment, punishment and torment of those who curse forever, and retribution for their spirits, and there God will bind them forever. Luke 16:19-31. A third division has been made for the spirits of those who make their suit, who make disclosures concerning their destruction when they were slain, murdered, in the days of the sinners. This division has been made for the spirits of people who were not righteous but sinners, who were complete in their transgression, and of their transgression they will be companions, but their spirits will not be slain, destroyed, in the day of judgment, nor will they be raised from there. Then I blessed the Lord of glory and said, blessed be my Lord, the Lord of righteousness, who rules forever. Note, our righteous judge will not destroy those who have been murdered because they were cut off from life before they had the chance to accept God. After Jesus rose from the dead, he went down to this place to preach to people who had died. 1 Peter 3:19, 4-5 and 6. Enoch describes the incessant fire in the universe. Chapter 23, verses 1-4. From there I went to another place to the west of the ends of the earth, and I saw a burning fire that burned without resting and paused not from its course day or night, but burned incessantly. I asked, what is this that rests not? Rigel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered me and said, this course of fire you have seen is the fire in the west that persecutes all the galaxies of heaven. Enoch describes 7 mountains in heaven and the tree of life. Chapter 24, verses 1-6. From there I went to another place of the new earth, and the holy angel showed me a mountain range of fire that burned day and night. I went beyond it and saw 7 magnificent mountains, all differing each from the other, and the stones on the mountains were magnificent and beautiful. Magnificent as a whole, of glorious appearance and fair exterior, 3 towards the east, 1 founded on their other, and 3 towards the south, 1 upon the other, and deep rough ravines, no one of which joined with any other. The 7th mountain was in the midst of these, and it excelled them all. Revelation 21:10, in height, resembling the seat of a throne, and fragrant trees encircled the throne. Amongst them was a tree, such as I have never ever smelled, neither was any trees amongst them, nor were others like it. It had a fragrance beyond all fragrance, and its leaves, blooms and wood will not wither forever. Its fruit is beautiful, resembling the dates of a palm. I said, how beautiful is this tree, and fragrant, and its leaves are fair, its blooms are very delightful in appearance. Genesis 2-9, 3-6, Revelation 22-2. Chapter 25, verses 1-7, Michael, the archangel, Daniel 12-1, one of the holy angels who was with me, and who was their leader, asked me, Enoch, why do you ask me regarding the fragrance of the tree, and why do you desire to learn the truth? I answered him saying, I want to know about everything, but especially about this tree. Michael said, this high mountain you have seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne, where the Holy Great One, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, Yeshua, will sit after he has come down to visit the earth with goodness. As for this fragrant tree, no person is permitted to touch it. Genesis 3:22 and 24, until the great judgment, when God will take vengeance on all sinners and bring everything to its consummation forever. The tree will then be given to the righteous and holy, and its fruit will be for food for the elect. It will be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of the Lord, the eternal King. Revelation 2-7. 22-2 and 14. Then the righteous will rejoice with joy and be glad, and into the holy place will they enter. There fragrance of the tree of life will be in their bones, and they will live long on earth, such as their ancestors lived. In their days will no sorrow, plague, torment or calamity touch them. Revelation 21-3 and 4. Then I blessed the God of glory, the eternal King, who has prepared such things for the righteous and has created their things, and promised to give such things to them. Enoch describes unusual mountains, ravines and streams. It is possible there were places like these before Noah's flood, when the earth was still perfect, but they do not exist now. Chapter 26, verses 1-6. I went from there to the middle of the earth, and I saw a blessed place in which there were dismembered trees with branches abiding and blooming. I saw there a holy mountain, and underneath the mountain to the east there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south. I saw towards their east another mountain higher than this, and in between them was a deep and narrow ravine. In it ran a stream underneath the mountain. To the west there was another mountain lower than the former, and of small elevation, and a deep, dry ravine between them. Another deep, dry ravine was at the extremities of their 3 mountains. All the ravines were deep and narrow, formed of hard rock, and trees were not growing on them. I marveled at the rocks, and I marveled at the ravine, yea, I marveled very much. Enoch asks the purpose of the accursed valley. Chapter 27, verses 1-5. I asked, for what purpose is this blessed land entirely filled with trees, and this accursed valley between? Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered, this accursed valley is for those who are accursed forever. Here will all the accursed be gathered together, who utter with their lips against the Lord unseemly words, and of his glory speak blasphemies. Here will they be gathered, and here will be their place of judgment. In the last days there will be on them the spectacle of righteous judgment. Acts 17:31, in the presence of the righteous forever. Here will their unsaved, merciful bless the Lord of glory, the eternal King. In the days of judgment of the accursed, they will bless him for the mercy according to which he has assigned them their fate. Then I blessed the Lord of glory, and set forth his glory, and lauded him gloriously. Note, the people mentioned here were sinners and blasphemers, but what saved them from the full judgment of God was their merciful deeds done on earth, in the spectacle of righteousness or religion, and in return for their mercy, God was merciful to them on Judgment Day, and they were very grateful and blessed him. Enoch's journey to the east of heaven. Chapter 28, verses 1-3. Then I went towards the east into the midst of the mountain range of the desert. I saw a wilderness, and it was solitary but full of trees and plants. Water gushed from above, rushing like a copious watercourse, flowing towards the northwest, causing clouds of dew to ascend on every side. This is a description of a large misty waterfall and river. Chapter 29, verses 1 and 2. Then I went to another place in the desert and approached the east of this mountain range, and there I saw aromatic trees emitting the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh. Matthew 2:11. And the trees were similar to the almond tree. Chapter 30, verses 1 to 3. Beyond these I went afar to the east, and I saw a valley full of water, a lake. There was a tree the color of fragrant trees like tree resin. On the sides of the valleys I saw fragrant cinnamon trees. Beyond these I proceeded to the east. Chapter 31, verses 1 to 3. I saw other mountains, and amongst them were a grove of trees, and there flowed from them nectar, which is named Sarara and Galbanum. Beyond these mountains I saw another mountain to the east of the ends of the earth, where there were aloe trees, and all the trees were full of stacked, like almond trees. When burned, it smelled sweeter than any fragrance. Chapter 32, verses 1 to 6. After these fragrant odors, as I looked towards the north over the mountains, I saw 7 mountains of choice nard and fragrant trees of cinnamon and pepper. Then I went over their summits of all these mountains, far towards the east of the earth, and passed above Erythraean Sea, Indian Ocean, and went far from it, and passed over the angels Otil. I came to the garden of righteousness, formerly the Garden of Eden in the mountains of Turkey, and from afar off, I could see trees more numerous than these trees, and great 2 trees there, very great, beautiful, glorious, magnificent, and the tree of knowledge, whose holy fruit they eat and know great wisdom. Genesis 2-9. That tree is in height like a fir, and its leaves are like those of the carob tree. Its fruit is like the clusters of grapes, very beautiful, and their fragrance of the tree penetrates afar. I said, how beautiful is that tree, and how attractive is its look. Raphael, the holy angel who was with me, said, this is the tree of wisdom of which your aged forefather Adam, and your aged foremother, Eve, who were before you, have eaten. They learned wisdom, and their eyes were opened. They knew they were naked, and they were driven from the garden. Genesis 3:1-11. Chapter 33, verses 1 to 3. From there I went to the ends of the earth and saw great beasts, each one differed from the other. I saw birds also differing in appearance, beauty, and voice, one differing from their other. To the east of those beasts I saw the ends of the earth, the horizon, whereon heaven rests, and their open window of heaven. Genesis 28:12. I saw how the stars, holy angels, come forth, and I counted their open windows from where they proceed. I wrote down all their outlets, of each individual star, holy angel, by itself, according to their number and their names, their courses, their positions, their times, and their months. Azrael, the holy angel who was with me, showed me. He showed all things to me and wrote them down for me. Their names he wrote for me, their laws, divine laws of nature set in place by God at creation to keep order and avoid chaos, and their companies. Enoch's journey to the north of heaven. Note, this vision is a description of weather patterns that did not exist before Noah's flood, but formed after the flood. Chapter 34, verses 1 to 3. From there I went towards the north, to the ends of the earth, and there I saw a great and glorious device at the ends of the whole earth. Here I saw 3 open windows of heaven, and through each of them proceed north winds. When they blow there is cold, hail, frost, snow, dew, and rain. Out of one open window they blow for good, but when they blow through the other 2 open windows, it is with violence and affliction on the earth, and they blow with violence. Chapter 35. From there I went towards the west to the ends of the earth, and saw the 3 open windows of the heavens, opened such as I had seen in the east, the same number of open windows and the same number of outlets. Enoch's journey to the south of heaven. Chapter 36. verses 1 and 2, From there I went to the south, to the ends of the earth, and saw the three open windows of the heavens. From there comes dew, rain and wind. From there I went to the east, to the ends of the heavens, and saw here the three eastern open windows of heaven, and smaller open windows above them. Through each of these smaller open windows pass the stars, holy angels, of heaven, and they run their course to the west on the path that is shown to them. As often as I saw these things, I always blessed their Lord of glory, and I continued to bless the Lord of glory, who has created great and glorious wonders, to show the greatness of his work to the angels, to spirits, to mankind, and to all of his creation, so they might praise his work, so they might see the work of his might and praise the great work of his hands and bless him forever. Romans 1:20.